it all kind of started because I was bored and wanted to learn programming, and I'm not good at learning when to quit, so it just kind of got out of hand, and here I am. Now I'm in too deep, because I think now we're up to almost 4,000 paid subscribers and reviews that are like 4.8 out of 5, which is like such overwhelmingly positive feedback and such lovely messages. Great. So I'm in way too deep now, and there's too many people relying on it, so I was like, I'll just keep going and see where we end up.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the We Racing podcast. As usual, it's myself and Matt, but today we have a very, very special guest, someone who, with their workload, blows my mind how much they do. They currently have what I would like to call the best time sheet app on the market at the minute, guys. So if you haven't seen it, go and look at it. We've got Dave Ellis from the Racing Line with us.
Hello. Woo!
Hey guys, pleased to meet you. Happy to be here.
Good. How are you doing, mate? All right?
Yeah, good. Just before I came on the call, I was just updating timetables for this weekend. So yeah, busy times, but good.
Good. What's on this weekend?
Oh, what isn't on this weekend? Just looking at the widget that I've got installed there. I've got WRC Winter Series, which includes 3 different series in there. There's International GT in the US. There's Ferrari Challenge. Formula One Academy's back supporting the F1. SRO GT's back supporting the F1. Like, there's so much this weekend.
A lot on. Matt, I feel like you'll be watching a lot of racing this weekend.
Last weekend, 100%. Yes, that was too much. It was actually the first time for the season opening in Australia that I've done all night on Saturday and Sunday, but it was worth.
Rather you than me, Matt, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Did you do a 3:30 wake up for the F1? Did you wake up at like improper watch the green flag?
Yeah, I did. I had to. We've got another early start this weekend, haven't we? To be honest, is it Japan this weekend?
China. I think it's 7 a.m. UK off the top of my head, so that's not too bad. But the sprint race, that'll be 3 a.m. UK, I think.
I think it's starting 2:30 actually, but yeah, it's still very close in the middle of the night for us.
yeah, that's one of those times of, do I stay up and wait for it, or do I go to bed and get up for it? It's in a horrible time, isn't it?
A horrible time.
I'm actually glad that the F1 decided to put all the early races together in the beginning of the season from the last season. So, after the Australia, China, Japan is gone, we are fine.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, Dave, thank you so much for coming on with us this week. Always a pleasure to have someone like yourself on. For those of you who don't know that much about Dave, I've done my research and I've found out my bits and bobs from my spies, and I was kind of blown away from your sort of background and the things that you do. I mean, just a few key bits here. I mean, you taught yourself how to code and program. Mm-hmm. Unreal. You currently, with the app that you have, you're solving problems for drivers, for sponsors, for people that just want to watch races, increasing that visibility for the drivers and sponsors as well. Allowing those international fans. So the biggest thing is when you're watching international series, trying to get the time right. Solved that problem, and obviously you're aiming to be the motorsports go-to app for timing. I mean, I want to know personally, how did you get here? What was your sort of backstory to bring you to this point?
So my backstory is kind of fun because, like you said, I taught myself to code, but if we go back all the way to around about 2020, that year that none of us want to remember, 2020.
That's it.
Yeah.
January 2020, I found myself newly single, just out of a 6-year relationship. So moved into my own place, living on my own. So January 2020, living on my own. February 2020, the government says nobody's allowed outside. And you're like, cool, this is going to be a bit of adjustment. What do I do to keep myself sane? Well, I think like most people, we normally turn to motorsport and we just watch. And for a lot of other people, other sports as well. Sports is a way of keeping yourself sane and enjoying yourself. But motorsport has stopped as well. So I was like, well, what do you do? So played a lot of games and played a lot of sim racing because I used to do that a lot back in the day as well. And then I was kind of getting a bit bored of that. And motorsport was starting up a little bit in kind of April, May kind of time. You started seeing the first events kind of popping up. But it was really hard to find because it was all kind of organised ad hoc as series were trying to work out what to do. And I was like, spending too much time on websites trying to work out, who's racing this weekend. I thought, there's got to be a better way of doing this. There's bound to be an app that does this. And I quite like tech as well. I like phones and I like smartwatches and stuff like that. So it's bound to be a nice app that does this. And there was a couple, but they didn't really do it for me. So I was like, well, I've got nothing else to do. I might as well learn to program and try and do it myself. So throughout 2020, I taught myself to program. First version of the Racing Line was released in December 2020. It covered 30 series. It only did races, no qualifying and practice. And it gave you times in your time zone for those series. And that was cool. It got up to about 100 concurrent users, 100 people who were resubscribing every month pretty quickly, which was really nice. And then a couple of years ago, I thought, you know what, it could be better than this. Maybe it can do a lot more than just 30 series. Maybe I can take it up to, well, almost infinite series. Like, I don't see why not. Maybe I can start doing practice and qualifyings. Maybe I can start having the concept of events and support series. So when you go to a racetrack, you can see everything that's on at that racetrack. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. And I built that. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe we can embed the YouTube streams as well, because a lot of motorsport is on YouTube and people don't realize how much motorsport there is out there. So I was like, well, let's bring that in as well. Let's make that easier. So brought that in, and now we're up to 217 series timetables in the app. There's about 160 of those series. I just embed the stream straight from YouTube, so you can just watch it direct in the app, or click the YouTube button and go out to the YouTube app and watch it direct in YouTube, or AirPlay to your TV, things like that. So yeah, it all kind of started because I was bored and wanted to learn programming, and I'm not good at learning when to quit, so it just kind of got out of hand, and here I am. I'm too stubborn to quit, I think, is the problem. And now I'm in too deep, because I think now we're up to almost 4,000 paid subscribers and reviews that are like 4.8 out of 5, which is just like such overwhelmingly positive feedback and such lovely messages. It's great. So I was like, well, I can't stop now. You know, I'm in way too deep now, and there's too many people relying on it. So I was like, well, I'll just keep going and see where we end up.
Unreal. And I mean, but before you started, or let's say before we got to 2020, what did life sort of look like from a professional standpoint at that point?
So just before COVID happened, so November 2019, I actually worked in oil and gas, as most people in Scotland do at some point. Everybody has a stint in oil and gas in Scotland at some point. And I worked on the emergency management side. So I was teaching people how to deal with critical incidents in offshore oil rigs. So, you know, fires, gas leaks, major injuries, stuff like that. I would teach managers and control room operators how to deal with these incidents. That was quite rewarding, but the industry was kind of not going the way I wanted it to. And my first love has always kind of been, other than motorsport, has always been tech. So just before COVID, I got a job as an IT manager in a software development studio, which probably helped me learn programming quite a lot, because I could lean on a couple of developers and ask questions and things like that. So this is long before AI was a thing as well. So I couldn't just ask ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that. So yeah, emergency management in oil and gas, and then moved into head of IT, in IT manager role, and then immediately into software development after that. I don't claim to be a software developer. I'm a person who has developed software, but I am by no means a software developer in my head. So yeah, that was life before the racing line.
It's quite a big jump, I think, or an indifferent jump from what you were doing to obviously what you're looking to do and what you're doing at the moment. I mean, what is it that currently motivates you other than your sort of love for motorsport?
Oh no, it is just the love of motorsport. It's the fact that I will watch. I think, like most of us, Formula One is a gateway drug into other motorsports. Is you start with Formula One and then you discover, oh, IndyCar's a thing. Oh, and then you discover the British Touring Car Championship, and you discover Le Mans, and you discover IMSA and NASCAR and all these different things. And I'll watch anything. It's like at the weekend there, I had some random Formula 4 series on. I can't even remember what it was. Might have been Spain. Can't remember. It was just on the TV because I just like having motor racing on. And I wouldn't have known that was on if it wasn't for somebody requesting it and me adding it to the racing line. So like now, like what motivates me is I just like motorsport. I will add almost any series I can to the app. As long as I can find timetables and streams, then that's what I'll do. I'd love this. The other motivation, I suppose, is I'd love it to become my full-time job. That's what I would like it to be eventually, and I think I'm on track to do that. So there's a lot of motivation in that regard, because then I could dedicate more time to it. I can make it an even better product, and we can all watch more motor racing together, really.
And when you started doing this app, what was your end goal? What was it that you wanted to look back on and say, this is what I've achieved with it?
you know what? When I started, there wasn't really an end goal. My end goal was I wanted to learn some programming, and maybe, who knows, I can get a job as an iOS programmer or something like that. Go and work at Monzo or Sonos or something and work on their apps. That was kind of the end goal. And that didn't really pan out because lots of reasons. Like the tech industry is not in a great place for jobs at the moment, and even worse now that AIs came along. So that was always going to be a difficult thing. And then people started requesting things in the racing line. And I was like, all right, okay, well, maybe I'll just lean into that and see where that goes. And now, obviously, the end goal is build it into something bigger and better to serve fans in a better way and have it fan first, So we're focused around the fan experience and the user experience rather than serving ads or something like that. So, yeah, the original end goal was just, it was an experiment to learn programming. And yeah, and now, like I say, it kind of got out of hand, and now I'm stuck with it in a really nice way.
Lovely. That. I mean, what do you think the biggest jump or the hardest jump was from going from doing what you're doing or what you were doing into trying to start an app and, like you say, start getting it off the ground?
The hardest jump into tech was not knowing what I didn't know, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like when you've got like a list of things that you don't know, you just work through that list and you go, I will learn that, and I will learn that, and I will learn that, and then by the end of it, I will know these things. But when you don't know what that list is, it's really hard to even Google stuff. This is where AI is great now, actually. If you're going to do a career change now, you can at least get ChatGPT to be like, hey, give me an outline of the kind of stuff I should learn, and you can get a kind of basic checklist. You shouldn't rely on it, obviously. You're going to need to go a lot into depth without AI, but it can kind of get you started. But back then it was, how do I even find out what I need to learn? And like the very first version of the racing line wasn't even released to the public because I built it and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but there's something wrong with this. And it turns out I'd kind of done it wrong a lot because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I asked a developer who did know what he was doing a little bit. I was like, what have I done here? And he was like, well, get rid of all of that and replace it with all of this. And I'm like, all right, okay. I went away and learned that stuff and it was a lot better. So although I say I taught myself to code, there was a bit of leaning on other developers to give me hints on what to go and learn, because tech is a lot more complicated than I thought it was. Building an app was a lot more complicated than what I thought it was, hence why it's taken so long to get to the position it's in. So, but yeah, like if anybody who's listening is in that position now and wanting to get into tech, is like go and lean on AI a little bit at first to be like, hey, tell me what to learn. Don't rely on it to produce code for you because it produces a lot of bad code, but it will give you hints on where to go and what to learn. And I wish I had that back in the day for sure.
Would have made life a lot easier.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've mentioned AI quite a bit. And any plans to implement AI into the app?
Not really. I kind of think it's like, what would I use AI for in the app? It's like, oh, maybe it could recommend more series to you. And I'm like, well, I could already do that. I can already say, if you like British Formula 4, you might like Italian Formula 4. I don't need AI to go and tell you that. That's just an if statement as far as I'm concerned. So it's like, maybe I could make it a natural language thing so you can type in, what should I watch today? And I'm like, well, no, I could just give them a list of stuff and then they look at it and then that's less effort. So like, maybe in the future that I could maybe use some AI in the back end to help me with data processing. But in terms of filling the app with AI, it seems like a really good way to make the app more expensive for the user, because using AI is expensive. And I'd kind of not want to do that because I want to keep the subscription as cheap as I can because I want it to be more accessible to more people. So not really any plans to include AI in the app itself. I don't think it needs it. And I think there's too many apps are adding AI just for the sake of having it. And you see in comments a lot on social media, there's a lot of people don't like AI. And I was like, well, cool. Then if users don't like it and I don't see a use for it, I'm not going to waste anybody's time and stick it in.
No, makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I read an interview that you did where you were talking about the app and you said that you're a really good product guy, but your biggest issue comes to marketing.
Yeah.
Getting the app out there. I mean, what are some of the big struggles that you faced around that?
So I kind of took the idea that when I built it, people would just find it in the App Store, because that's what happened in the old days in the App Store. You would browse the App Store almost for fun, like 15 years ago. So let's go and see what's in the top 100 apps. Nobody does that now. That's not a thing anymore, because whenever you load the top 100 apps, it's just supermarket apps and banking because they're the most used apps in the world, so nobody browses it anymore because there's never anything interesting in it. But I didn't really think about that. I thought, I'll build it and they will come. And that was not the case at all. And so I released it and I was like, cool. And all this, the first 10 subscriptions were my friends, and then nothing else happened. And I'm like, oh, okay, so marketing's hard. I can see why companies have entire marketing teams now. Okay, fine. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll just do some ads. That'll be fine. I could boost some Instagram posts. That'll be cool. So you boost some Instagram posts and you get an initial flock of people and you get that kind of rush of, oh yeah, this is working. But that only works for a little while because then you boost another one, it just goes to the same people. You're like, well, I'm just advertising to the people who already have it. And then you're like, oh, well, we need to go into actual ad managers now. And then that starts getting really complicated. And then you're down the rabbit hole of, oh, I see why marketing people get paid what they do. Because turns out it's hard. It's not just making some posts on Instagram, and you don't realize how hard it is until you've got to do it. And you're like, oh yeah, marketing is a full-time job by somebody who knows what they're doing. And then even when you've worked out the ads, you're like, okay, where do I get photos for the ads? I can't just go and steal photos off of Google. That's not okay. That's not cool. I can't just steal people's photos. Can't steal them off of Instagram. So like, oh, I'll need to go to racetracks and get photos. And then you realize your phone is crap at taking photos from a distance at Silverstone. Oh, I'll need to hire a photographer. Okay, cool. Photographers who are good cost money. Cool. Well, I'll need a bit of money to do that. So like, you kind of go down that hole of, wow, content's hard to produce. And even if I do have the content, actually turning it into a post is hard. And then turning the post into an ad is hard. And then you get down the hole of, I need a marketing team, which obviously as you're a one-person company, you can't afford. So I have a really good appreciation for how difficult it is now to market products, companies, drivers, anything. It's really, really hard. And even when you do start solving those problems, conversion rates are a lot lower than what you'd think they are, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. We all don't click on ads just because it's popped up. Even if it pops up with, I don't know, nice pair of hiking boots or something. I like hiking. I'm not going to click on every ad that's got hiking boots, So every single bit of marketing is hard. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in if you want it done properly, you need a marketing kind of team, consultant person to help you along, because there is a reason that these jobs exist and there's a reason that they're not on minimum wage doing it, because it is a proper skill. And I really appreciate that now.
Yeah, I mean, we know, don't we, Matt, that trying to spread the word and gain followers and get the reach isn't easy. I mean, obviously, consistency is probably one of the main things that you can do. But what have you done to kind of work your way around that? Because you've obviously got quite a few subscriptions now, subscribers now. I mean, what have you done to kind of go around that, and not spending £1 million on a marketing team, but also still trying to get good results?
I've worked with a lot of people who are trying to get their way into the motorsport world as well. So they are, to put it bluntly, cheaper than somebody who is properly into the motorsport world or properly into the marketing world. So I've worked with people who are entry-level photographers kind of thing. They'll go to racetracks at a reduced cost for me, and then I can advertise them in the app and tag them in everything, and it kind of works for both of our advantages. They still get paid. I still cover their time during the day. And I also don't keep like exclusive contracts with them. If they take photos at, I don't know, a British GT event, for example, they're allowed to sell those photos to the teams, to the drivers, anything like that. I don't exclusively own anything, so they can hopefully get revenue via the other way as well. And I've worked with a couple of people who have helped me set up meta ads at a reduced cost as well. So they've managed the ads for me, because it is quite complicated to set up and I don't quite have the time to commit to do it properly. I could do half a job, but if I do half a job, I'm not going to get a good result. It has to be a proper job. So I might as well bring in somebody to do it. So I've worked with that. More recently, what I've started doing is building an affiliate scheme. So I'll be able to go to people who have a decent amount of subscribers and say, hey, if you want to be part of our affiliate scheme, anybody that signs up, you'll get a percentage of their sign-ups. So hopefully that will help influencers promote it a little bit, because they'll earn money. I'll earn a bit of money from it. And hopefully that can all grow the product together. When I talk about, earn money, I'm not talking about, I'm going to earn £100,000 and immediately drive down to the Porsche garage tomorrow morning. I'm just trying to turn it into a sustainable business, because subscriptions are cheap. A lot of people have told me the subscriptions are too cheap. And I was like, well, I'm not going to raise it, because I'd rather have more people than less people. So I've tried a lot of things, and the new thing will be the affiliate scheme, and we'll see how that goes. There's quite a few people who are interested in helping and who use the app day to day, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think it goes to show how important partnerships are as well, especially when you're up and coming, whether it be, like I say, as a brand, as a product, whatever it is that you're trying to do, having those sort of partnerships and reaching out and speaking to people. We know, don't we, Matt, that it's so beneficial when you can speak to someone and they can, even if it's a bit of advice that they offer you,
Yeah.
that's going to be something that you can take a long way, and it's really appreciated because, like, we know it's so hard to get into the motorsport kind of cage, and people that are in there, it seems like they want to keep everybody else kind of out of it. So it's really good to work with people and have those kind of partnerships. I mean, is there anybody in particular that you could kind of say they really gave me a good bit of advice, or they really gave me a good bit of help? Or
there's been so many that have given me really good feedback but are not sure how to help progress. So the best people recently, there's a gentleman called Neil Hudson who works for TCR Europe, and he's been absolutely brilliant because he's got me decent contacts within TCR Europe, and this year we're going to work together a little bit where I'll promote their streams and they'll promote the app. And he was just such a great person to speak to because he was so lovely and honest about everything. Because he would come and say, right, this bit won't work because of these commercial things, that a series won't do this because of these commercial interests, but they will do this because of these commercial interests. So it was nice to get this kind of, I wouldn't say brutally honest because that makes it sound like he was being mean. It was just like just this very frank of, this won't work, this will work. And whenever I get an email from him, it's just like, yeah, this is great, because I will get told, try these things, don't bother with these things because these won't work. He's been great. But there's been so many people who have been so supportive, from drivers who are in the app, like Jamie Caudle, for example, who's a Ginetta GT driver. He's absolutely lovely. He shares all my posts. We've got stickers on his car. And then whenever I've met drivers or people involved in the motorsport industry who are higher up, I get great feedback as well. I met Alan McNish earlier this year, who was absolutely brilliant. Loved the app, gave me a good handshake and bought me a drink at a bar at the Race Media Awards. And it was absolutely brilliant. And I know he's a subscriber to the app because he uses it to watch the Audi Junior drivers in their series. And you're like, oh, this is great.
That's cool.
And late last year, I met Dario Franchetti, who was absolutely lovely as well. He was blown away by how impressive the app was. So it's like, you meet these people and they immediately see the value in it and love it. But then getting it out in front of people, a lot of them draw a blank because they're like, oh, I'm not sure how to actually get this in front of more people, because we're talking about getting it in front of they can put it in front of a series, but that's only a few people. What you need to do is put it in front of thousands of people, because then they all go, oh, that's what I want. So there has been some really good feedback and really good help, but it's just, even when somebody isn't able to help, it's just overwhelmingly positive feedback. And it's great because it justifies everything you're doing and justifies the hard work when people go, yes, this is it. It validates all your work,
have you ever had any really negative feedback?
Yes, but not from anybody in the motorsport industry. I get odd feedback. So the latest review I got on the Android app was, you cannot stream Formula One in Thailand on this app. 1 star. And I'm like, cool, that's a bit harsh. I don't think I ever claimed to stream the Formula One, and I don't think I've got Sky Sports budget to bid for it. So I sometimes get feedback and it's like, why should I pay for this? Like, this is a disgrace that you're even charging for this. And I'm like, well, it's 99 pence. And it means you'll never have to Google for a timetable or do a time zone conversion or anything like that. I don't claim to own the data. I'm not like paywalling it. It's like, you can go and find this if you want. It's a convenience thing. It makes your life easier. And if you want to discover more motorsport, then great. And I feel like 99 pence a month is as cheap as you can really get an app nowadays, you know? So like the feedback I get every so often is, I think people who think it's a bigger streamer platform than it is, when in reality I'm very open and honest and say, this stuff is on YouTube, I'm just aggregating it for you, and these timetables are on the internet, I'm just aggregating for you. And people who don't realize that building an app or even a website or anything technical takes a lot of time and dedication, and unfortunately it's also not free to operate. There are operating costs of running servers and app store accounts and things like that. So like, I need to cover those because I can't operate at a loss. I can't afford it in today's world. Who can, with how much things cost nowadays? So the feedback is often people who, I don't think the app is for them, and that's totally fine. and they don't understand what I'm bringing. Because if you just want to watch Formula One, just download the F1 app and subscribe to Sky Sports. You're sorted. You don't need the racing line. If you want to watch other stuff, I've got you.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a similar experience with content. It's, sometimes you get some feedback regarding some content you put out, and you sort of I started to realize clearly the content isn't for them. And
Yeah.
if you try and please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And you've got to have your target market and those kind of people, and anything kind of outside that, you've got to be able to take the constructive criticism, but you've got to be able to take it in a way where you can brush it off, and just kind of say, well, okay, you're not my target market, but I'm going to kind of take what I can from that. So no,
100%.
definitely, for sure. Have you had any experiences, been to any places, done any things that you wouldn't have been able to do or wouldn't have experienced if you hadn't started the app?
Oh God, so many. I don't even know where to start with that. It's ridiculous. Like, in terms of motorsport, I spent a good half a year hanging out with the Ginetta marketing team, who are part of the race media, who were absolutely brilliant. They helped me quite a lot. There's a gentleman there, he now works for Just the Race rather than Ginetta, called Alejandro, who is just the nicest guy in the world, but also is brilliant for ideas. So he's always coming up with ideas or great stuff. Absolutely brilliant. I've been to a lot more racetracks than I ever have. I've been to Silverstone and Donington too many times to count in the last couple of years. I've been to Anglesey for the first time, Brands Hatch. We, in December or January this year rather, got invited to the Race Media Awards, which was amazing. It's like I'd never been to an award ceremony before. This is really cool. Didn't expect to win. We did, but that was incredible. But like just going there was an experience. Got to do that. And a couple of people that I've met kind of adjacent to the app. I didn't meet them because of the app, but it's kind of like part of when I was rebuilding it. So they're kind of part of that journey of rebuilding it. I go on road trips with them every so often to Switzerland, and one of them has a very fancy car and he offers to let me drive his car to Switzerland and stuff. And I'm like, cool, I'm definitely going to do that. Been to Goodwood in the same car, like loads of stuff like that. Knock Hill last year, where I got to meet Dario Franchitti, Marino Franchitti, John Cleland, Holly McRae. They were all just amazing people. Loads of stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's great. It's like, because I think as motorsport fans, we spend a lot of time looking in and being like, oh, I'd love to be there. And then every so often I do get to go to these things. Like, oh, that's cool. I can't go to them all, unfortunately. When you live in Edinburgh, everything is at minimum 6 hours drive away. There's nothing closer than that. So I'm not going to get to everything that I want to go to. But there's been so many awesome things that I feel very privileged to have enjoyed, especially throughout the UK, which has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, and opportunities opening up, especially about the awards. You tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so the Race Media Awards is an award ceremony run by the Race Media, and it's split into different categories. It's mostly based around media, things like best documentary, best agency, and things like that. It's not things like, best race team, best series. It's more around the media side of things, how the media covers motorsport. And the Racing Line was nominated in Brand of the Year. And I was like, oh, well, that's amazing. And that's kind of a catch-all kind of category that they've got. If you don't fit into the other ones, Brand of the Year might be where you fit. And the Racing Line kind of doesn't fit into the other ones. I'm not an agency. I'm not a marketing campaign or anything like that. So I was like, cool, that's brilliant. And I was like, well, I'm up. The other people that were nominated there was a company, Elemis, who I hadn't heard of, but a lot of my female friends had heard of. They're a skincare brand, a very big skincare brand, and they're doing things with Aston Martin. And you're like, oh, cool. Oh. There was another Aston Martin Formula One team as well. And there was another company there, Cato Industries. They do a lot of AI with the Porsche Formula E team. And you're like, cool, this is great. Like, I'm nominated in a category with like big companies here. And I was going down thinking, I'm just happy to go down and enjoy it, because like, there's no way I'm going to win this. I'm just happy to be there. Like, imagine my logo up there with Cato Industries and Aston Martin and stuff. Oh, that would be great. And a couple of days before going down, I ended up with a flu, and it was probably the worst flu I've ever had. But I was like, I'm not skipping this. Like, I am going. So jumped on a train in Edinburgh, hopped up on as many painkillers as you can illegally take. Legally take. Backpack just full of clean clothes and deodorant and painkillers and stuff like that. It's like, let's just get down there, take lots of painkillers, lots of caffeine, and get through it. So got down there feeling pretty terrible and go in, meet everybody. Great night, absolutely lovely. Bump into like Alan McNish and chat with him, and that was great because he's like childhood hero, lovely person. And then they're going through the awards, and brand of the year comes up, and the presenter, who was absolutely lovely, starts reading it out, and is like, this is for the brand that's had like the best marketing campaign. And my mate taps me on the shoulder. He's like, did you have a marketing campaign? And I'm like, nah, man, I've barely got an Instagram account. What do you mean? I were laughing because well, there's no way we're winning this then. We don't even fit in this. But, it doesn't matter. We're happy to be there. And then she starts reading out, because she would do a teaser before reading out the actual winner. She'd be like, this brand, works across all of motorsport. And I'm like, this sounds kind of like me. Like, massive potential for growth. And I'm like, this kind of sounds like me, actually. Actually, the winner is the Racing Line. And I'm like, crap. Oh, no. I was like, Doug, you're absolutely loving this, but like, I'm feeling like death. I probably look like death. I probably wasn't dressed quite as nice as some other people there. Now I've got to go up on stage. And I'm like, crap. You go up on stage and you meet the lady who's absolutely lovely. And there's a bunch of photographers that are like, come on, like, look over here for the camera. And I'm like, standing there awkwardly, because I'm not great in public spaces like that. Standing there awkwardly holding a trophy. I'm like, oh, cool. And then come off the stage, and the lovely lady with the lanyard shuffles me away to do an interview. And I'm like, cool, okay, we're going to do an interview. And fortunately, the lady doing the interview was very professional and, controls it all. So you can't really say anything wrong, that kind of thing. Absolutely lovely. It was great. Had a bunch of alcohol after that. I was like, this will go great with painkillers when you got the flu. Let's down the Prosecco. Go back downstairs to bump into Alan McNish again, who comes over and he's like, brilliant. Like, you didn't expect to win that. And I had a few jokes, inappropriate jokes about, Scottish banter and stuff like that. It's like what you should get described onto as you do as a Scotsman. And that was that. And then went and sat in, I think it was Planet Hollywood, or no, Hard Rock Cafe, that was it, which was next door to it, and sat there with Lewis from Slicks magazine and my friend Nick, who's been through me on this incredible journey the entire way, and sat there just kind of staring at this going, how did this happen? How did we end up with a trophy? It's like, let's just order pizza and drinks. I'm too tired to think about that. So absolutely amazing night. And again, a lot of validation that, because I think the one of the judges was the ex-CEO of the FIA, and you go, okay, there's a lot of validation here. There's a lot of people going, this is good. And one of the other judges was the head of Verge magazine, or founder of Verge magazine, and another one was the director of the Senna documentary, which I'm sure we've all seen, which is an incredible movie. So you got 3 judges there who they know their stuff, and then vote me as brand of the year. And I'm like, amazing. So again, incredible validation that the work is useful to everybody. It's not just me in my own bubble going, I think people would like this. Other people actually agree, and it was great.
Do you think that gave you a bit more of a push? Obviously, from what I know of you, you're already a really motivated person. We spoke before we started recording, 14-hour days, lack of sleep. So you're obviously very, very driven. But do you think that kind of recognition from those kind of names gave you kind of like an extra push or an extra kind of vision of where it could go?
Yeah, it does a little bit. It's like when you see that the ex-CEO of the FIA has turned around and went, this is good. This is really good. There's growth in this. It's like, because what they mean there is lots of people are going to enjoy this. It validates it more. So, but that's been like, I think the last year or so has been a lot of people, big names in motorsport, who I bump into or actively seek out. In the case of like Dario Franchitti, I was trying to get a chat with him because he's another childhood hero of mine. I just wanted to chat to him anyway. And when they say, this is good, this is really good, it's like, it is validation, and it does give you that push. And when you're having kind of negative days, when you're like, oh God, this isn't going as well as I hoped, either technically or financially, it does give you that push to go, no, actually, Dario Franchitti said this is good. Alan McNish said this is good. And that kind of makes you go, yeah, okay, I'll keep going, guys. This can be something, And when, again, it's kind of similar when you get a new review that pops up on the Play Store or the App Store. When something pops up and it's a 5-star, you're just like, good. This person is not only happy, they're so happy that they took time to review it as a 5-star, because obviously not everybody reviews something. The fact that they did that is a good thing, because people tend to leave reviews when they're unhappy rather than happy. And you're like, great, this has made a positive impact on this person's life to the point where he wants to come and tell me, or she wants to come and tell me. And that's brilliant. And that these kind of things do get you through those 14-hour days when you're like, oh God, this is hard work,
For sure. Everyone needs that why. I think when you're building something, especially it's going to be your baby, having that why is so important. Obviously, you've mentioned about a lot of people that have given you sort of advice and feedback. And anyone who is watching or listening to this, I was going to say, wanting to build an app and spread the word of their own, but I want to kind of widen it to even just getting into the motorsport industry. What kind of advice would you give to someone?
The saying that sticks in my head, there was a guy who I knew him for a very, very long time on the internet. Met him quite a few times in person, but we used to sim race together like late 90s to early 2000s, and we still knew each other up until last year when he passed away, unfortunately. His name was Greg, and he said to me, it takes 5 years to become an overnight success. And I don't think he was the originator of that phrase. I think he did find it elsewhere because I've seen it online since he said it. But that sticks with me quite a lot because that's about where I am now. It's about 5 years or so since it was launched, and now I'm getting a bit of traction. So if you're starting something new and even in the first year, you're like, this isn't working, it's like, you need to keep going, because if you believe it's going to do well and the feedback you're getting from your probably small kind of user base or follower base, whatever you're doing, is positive, then it's like, well, you're on to something. If you've got a few people that like it, then there's millions more out there that'll like it. So it's just consistency, similar to the marketing thing of just keep doing it. Find what works, find what doesn't work, discount what doesn't work. It doesn't matter that it didn't work. It just means that you've learned that doesn't work. So you're not going to waste time on that again. Concentrate on the things that do work and keep doing it, and it will build and build and build. So yeah, don't give up is the kind of bit that I'm trying to say to people, is like, you will get there eventually, but you have to be smart about what you're doing, because if you're working on your own, especially, you've got limited time. So you need to stop doing what doesn't work, keep doing what does work, and just keep going as much as you can. And it will get there eventually, especially if the idea is good and the product is good or the service is good, whatever you're doing. As long as it's good and you're consistent, it will get there eventually. But don't give up after 1 year, 2 years when it's not quite where you want it to be. As long as it's growing, you'll get there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people do give up, don't they, sort of within that first couple of months, first year or so, because they haven't seen traction. I think that saying is obviously fantastic for people to hear. That it takes 5 years to become an overnight success, because sometimes you see, even in the motorsport world, but even in sort of music and footballers, the athletes, they kind of, to us, they kind of pop out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, I've not seen this person before, and they've got 100,000. But it's like they've spent the last however many years building that base and that platform to then
absolutely
now come onto my algorithm and see that they're a big thing. And I think, especially with social media, there's it's quite easy for people to get negged out because they see, oh, someone else is doing something similar to me and they've got thousands of followers, but they started where you started once upon a time, and they managed to do it. So if anything, that should give more people hope that it's possible. Definitely possible to do.
100%. And just to kind of like illustrate that a little bit, like I said earlier, the very first version of the racing line that I built, nobody ever got to use it because I binned it and I restarted it and I tried again. And then when I rebuilt the app about 2.5 years ago, so if you consider like version 0, nobody used, version 1, the public used, version 2, again, nobody got to use because I rebuilt it and it wasn't what I hoped it would be. And I actually binned it all after a year's worth of work on this new version. I binned it all and I started again and I redid it again in 6 months. And I released what the public see as version 2, but it's actually version 3 or 4, depending on how you want to number it. Because I wasn't afraid to just bin it because it wasn't working and redo it. And it now is a lot better. So don't be afraid to bin stuff that's not working. Don't be afraid to start again on stuff. As long as you keep trying, you'll get there eventually if what you're doing is good and people like it.
From sort of more of a negative standpoint, what are some of the things that have maybe nearly negged you out, nearly pushed you to that point? I mean, have you got close to that point of thinking, oh, I'm going to pack this in? Is there anything like that, or not really?
Not really, to be honest. I'm very lucky that my partner's very supportive. She'll kind of, I wouldn't say allows me. That sounds really bad when you put it like that. But I think a lot of partners wouldn't be happy with their partner doing 14-hour days and working every weekend. she's very supportive, and I do try to make sure that we make sure that we get quality time together and things like that. So I think you've got to be careful with that balance. You have to make sure that everybody in your life gets the quality time they need with you. We have 2 dogs and we live together. So like the dog, you can't neglect a dog walk, for example. The dogs still need to go out. And I'm not talking little bathroom walks just to make sure that nature calls. I mean, they still need to go out and enjoy themselves. You can't just have them cooped up in the house all day, especially with the dogs that we've got that are quite adventurous. They like big walks. So I was like, well, that has to be done. So you can't neglect the rest of your life. The only negative that I've got is that I've probably neglected my own kind of fitness levels, because I used to be a lot more into running and fitness than I currently am, and I'm trying to get back into that. So that's probably the only negative. So like, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I've probably not prioritized my own health as much as I should. I've prioritized my partner and the dogs and the house and the app, but you should also prioritize yourself, because there's a lot of people would struggle with the mental health aspect of working 14-hour days. And, that's no slight on anybody that does, because who the hell wants to work 14-hour days for years, So, yeah, make sure to take care of your friends, family, pets, and yourself. I wouldn't say I've been close to quitting, but I'm very self-aware of I need to be careful with how much I'm actually doing, because waking up at 6 a.m. and working to 10 at night is not the healthiest thing. So every so often you need break days in there as well. Even if you're doing shorter days, you should still be taking good weekends off,
Yeah, for sure. We posted on our Instagram for some questions, and we got 2 good questions. And just before we go on to our F1 segment, so the first question: what is your favorite color Skittle?
I think you know who asked that.
I know exactly who asked that. Hi, Jess. Very happy to get a question from Jess, because she is awesome. I'm a fan of the red and purple coloured ones. I'm not a green and yellow, citrusy person. I'm a berry one. I'm green, reds and purples for me.
Do you prefer sour or sweet Skittles?
Oh, in terms of that, I prefer sour. I like a good sour Skittle.
Same.
The sweet ones are fine. I do like them, but I'm also bad at what's the word? I'm bad at portion control. Let's put it that way. If I start eating something, so like a bag of Skittles, just pour that straight down, man.
Yeah, that's me. I'm currently trying to get back into my running a little bit. I've kind of let myself go a little bit, and I've done a clear out of the house with my partner, and I've said no snacks in the house, because as soon as they're in the house, I'm gonna sniff them out.
To me.
We're on the same journey, man. I've said that to my partner. I know there's snacks in the house right now, but I don't know where they are, because she's hidden them. And that's good. And then Jess, if you're still listening, I know we're going to the British GT Media Day. Don't give me Skittles, because I'll just down them in one go. Don't give me Skittles, Jess.
And the second question we had was, what's your preference? So grassroots motorsports, regional, national, or international motorsport?
So I will say that I like pretty much anything that's got wheels. For some reason, bikes don't do it for me. I watch MotoGP and I'm like, this is logically exciting, but it doesn't do it for me. I don't know why. I appreciate the incredible skill involved. It doesn't do it for me. So for me, it starts off with cars. But my main love is endurance racing. Things like Le Mans 24-hour, Sebring 12-hour. I've attended Le Mans so many times now. Started in 2003 all the way kind of nearly to COVID. So I've been there a lot. I've seen a lot of great cars and a lot of great times there. I've done things that you can't do now. Like I've been down to Mulsanne at night and right up against the Armco when you're not meant to. It's long enough ago that I can tell that story now. So like loads of stuff like that. I've snuck into garages that I shouldn't be allowed in and all that, but you can't do that anymore. It's felt a lot tightly controlled now. So like endurance racing is definitely my first love. Le Mans prototypes, especially when we had the hybrid era of the 2013 through to 2016 kind of thing, where you had 3 or 4 manufacturers with hybrids. That was incredible. So that's my main love. And more recently, I've been getting into junior formulas a little bit. I've always liked Formula One. Obviously, I think most motorsport fans are also Formula One fans, but I've been starting to enjoy things like FRECA and the Formula 4 series and things like that, where the juniors start. Haven't been into that as much before, but now I'm quite enjoying watching people like Dorian Pan, Daniela Sutton, who's in the racing line, who you guys know, Freddie Slater and things like that. Like those kind of drivers, like latching onto drivers early in their career has been a new thing. I do that with GT racing as well. I like LMP3s, LMP2s, because that's where you see the drivers who are future hypercar drivers and future IMSA drivers, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, before we go on to the F1 segment, I've got one final question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to get rid of permanently one racing series, what would it be?
Oh, don't say that. No, you're gonna annoy somebody now.
That's a hard question, actually.
You see, I'll let Matt go first because I think, yeah, I wanna hear this.
I've seen there is one ridiculous, not understandable for me, racing series in the United States when they basically the racetrack cross each other and they have to. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I don't understand that. Like, where's the safety? I don't understand. So maybe I'll say this.
Okay, that's a good answer.
So, see, for me, like I'd pick the easy out and just be like, get out of a bike series because it just doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Get rid of a series. I don't know, man. There's bound to be some. How do I answer that?
You've got to find the most political way to answer it.
Well, it's like I imagine there's a lot of people listening who are going to be like Formula E. Get rid of Formula E. I don't like Formula E, but I actually like Formula E because it's different. I quite like the silly circuits and stuff. I know a lot of people hate the silly circuits. I like the silly circuits. I like that they go to, I don't know, London and race around a car park rather than, you know, another race at Barcelona, because we've all seen thousands of races at Barcelona. I don't know. It's probably there's a surprising amount of GT series which I think overlap each other, which don't need to be there. There's a Spanish GT series, there's a Portuguese GT series, there's a Southern France GT, there's multiple Italian GTs. And rather than get rid of one of those, I think you can condense those into something much more effective. Or rather than 5 series that have got 10 cars, it's like, can we mash these together and get a grid of 25 to 30 cars? I wouldn't like to see a series quote go away. I would like to see series cooperate more so we can get a healthier series overall. So instead of trying to watch a bunch of races that are not got enough cars in them to be fun, it's like, let's be a bit smarter here and merge things together and get healthy car counts. But I'm looking at that as a fan rather than the series, because the series have got their own interests at heart, whereas I'm more looking at it as a fan point of view. So I just like them to work together a bit more so we don't need all these kind of low car count series dotted around.
No, I agree. I think merging, especially some of the GT series, would be a really good idea. Also, guys, if you're listening and you need media training, go to Dave, because that's a very good media trained answer, politically
I
answered.
was quite proud of that one. That's why I asked Matt to go first. Is like, I'll give me some thinking time here.
Perfect. Okay, guys, we all watched the F1 at the weekend, yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts? First race of the season?
I liked it. Like, maybe it's controversial, but it was all right. It was definitely completely different racing. It was definitely not Formula One that we know even a year ago, 10 years ago. I haven't seen anything like that before. The opening laps were fantastic. Later on was a bit boring, but I liked that the drivers were able to catch up each other pretty quickly. And, you know, that's keep up some drama in the race as well. So, overall, for me, it wasn't, you know, fantastic race or, you know, anything groundbreaking, but it was definitely different and I enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I went through like a series of emotions with it, and Friday I was kind of very confused. It was like, what is going on here? I'm not sure I'm going to like this. Saturday when qualifying came along, I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. This isn't right. And then Sunday came along and I'm like, yeah, I enjoyed that. And it's interesting that Matt said he's not seen anything like this, because what it reminded me of really heavily was the LMP1 days at Le Mans 2014 through to 2016, when they had similar things, because they had, again, this 50-50 split between hybrid power and internal combustion power. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, go to YouTube and search for things like Porsche, Audi, Toyota battle, and you'll find some incredible battles like that.
Yeah.
It was very much the same of, they didn't use the term super clipping back then. That wasn't really a thing. It was just, you know, a car was running out of energy, and because the cars were all very different, the different cars would run out of energy at different times, and you would get these kind of incredible back and forward passes. And it heavily reminded me of that, and I really enjoyed that. Like Matt said, it got a little boring, but you know, We've had plenty of boring F1 races with every set of regulations, so, that is what it is. I'm cautiously optimistic with these regulations. We could say that qualifying's a lot worse than what it was. I think the racing might be better. And if we're going to have a split between something that's good and not good, I would rather have the racing better than qualifying. I think that's the right way around, because we have had years where qualifying was a lot more entertaining than the racing. So I would say we at least got it the right way around. And there's a lot of people saying, well, Formula One's not about conserving the car. And it's like, well, I think you'll find it is. We've been conserving tyres for decades now. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And back in the 90s and 80s, you used to have to conserve gearboxes and turbochargers that were really volatile and things like that, and turn fuel gauges down so that you weren't on full boost. And, Formula One's always had an energy kind of conservation type thing. It's just electrical rather than mechanical, or electrical rather than tyres. There still probably is a little bit of tyres. It's different. I understand why people don't like it. I understand why people do like it. But I think we need to give it a chance. And see where it plays out. It could be that something needs adjusted, but we've only had one race, and I would say the first 20 laps of it were brilliant. Different, but brilliant.
Yeah, I think the time aspect is definitely important, because I think people are forgetting that every time we've changed regulations, we've had a little bit of a period like this, especially when there's been big changes. The last set of regs, everyone hated when they first came in, especially Mercedes. And I think I was quite conflicted 50-50, because I think we had like 5 times more overtakes this year than we had last year. So it's like, I want to see overtakes, but at the same time, I don't know, the overtakes didn't feel quite the same. I don't know how to pin it, but I do think that the drivers are going to learn how to handle these cars and deal with the issues that are arising better as the season goes on. And probably next season we're going to have 10 times better racing than we've had this season because of that.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, obviously the reliability thing, again, any new set of regs is always going to bring reliability issues. But we had we had 5 DNFs in that race. We also
Some
had
people even a couple of times DNF Fernando Alonso.
How many times can you retire in one race? It's
I
amazing.
think 3 or 4.
We had Verstappen crashing in Q1, then bringing it back to sort of P6. So there's definitely something in the air of that excitement and unknown, which I think is also really good. But I think there's a lot of people that don't like change. So if you're going to come and bring a big change, people are always going to have their pushback. But I think that's the whole point in F1, isn't it? Innovation, bringing things forward. Just making the sport, I guess, great again. The thing I like most is they can follow closer. That's probably the thing that I like most.
So I was speaking to one of my friends who is a qualified aerodynamicist, and nice kind of a perspective to get on it. And I know we're talking about things like the cornering speeds are lower because they're coasting through some of the corners at lower speeds than what they would be. But the advantage of that is that means there's less dirty air, because the car behind it, the cars aren't as on edge, so you're not using 100% of your aerodynamics of what you would be before as well. So you can follow closer because of that. And the other kind of interesting thing, I suppose, is, like you say, is like there's some people who are very upset that it feels more artificial than what it did before. But let's remember that DRS was very artificial. You had to be within 1 second and you get to press an overtake button. Before DRS, we had KERS, and that was also an electrical boost. Now, there still is that overtake button with the electrical boost, but the actual idea of energy clipping isn't really that artificial, because the car is clipping either because the car isn't conserving energy as well as the other car, or the driver has deployed it differently. So you could argue it's artificial, but also the circumstances that the driver and car have kind of created together are creating that. And in that case, it's not artificial. That's no different to the 80s and somebody pressing the turbo boost button in order to overtake, which was very, very common in 80s Formula One and Group C, Le Mans, and Group B Rally. You would deploy boost at certain times. So is it artificial? Maybe, but it's definitely different. But I don't think it's any more artificial than the 80s and 90s, and I think it's less artificial than DRS, personally.
What do you think about the people that, and even some of the drivers that are saying it's closer to Formula E now than Formula One?
I think that's a valid one, in that just because it's exciting to watch doesn't mean it's interesting to drive for them. You got Max Verstappen's maybe, so I'm not a Max fan, I'll preface that, but however, he is he is the kind of the ultimate driver's driver, isn't he? He will drive anything that he enjoys driving. We've seen during the winter there that he tested at least 2 different GT3 cars, Ferrari and the Mercedes AMG. Presumably, he was just trying to discover which one he liked best because he knew he was going to go and do NLS in the Nürburgring. He drives things because he enjoys driving them, and he's been very vocal about not enjoying driving these. Lando Norris has said the same thing. George Russell loves it, but it's easier to love something when you're winning, isn't it? Lewis enjoys it, but he's having a much better year already than what he was before. So I think it's perfectly valid that I can look at F1 and go, oh, I enjoyed that race, but the drivers can also be like, actually, we don't enjoy it because it's not interesting to drive. And I think that's fair, and I don't have a magic answer to that one. If they don't enjoy driving it, we either need to change the sport to fit that, or, and I don't condone this, but they need to leave and find something else to enjoy. So comparing it to Formula E, I don't see as a bad thing because I do enjoy Formula E. It's very, very different, but I do enjoy it. So I don't have a good answer for that one. I enjoyed watching it, but that doesn't mean that Max and Lando have to enjoy racing it.
Enjoy racing it, yeah. I mean, I think one of the big things that I had, and one of the things I saw on social media, I think it would have been easier or better to watch if we had more information. And I know that's more of a Sky problem, but there weren't. I was expecting for a new set of regs that are this different. I was expecting a lot more stuff, a lot more graphics, a lot more information. I felt like the commentary over the weekend was very jovial. It wasn't. I feel like there wasn't enough information, especially for a hardcore fan. And I think that's one of the other things about F1 at the minute as well, especially about the F1 movie and Drive to Survive. Of course, they're trying to grow their reach. So they are trying to cater to everyone, but I think they are a little bit forgetting about those hardcore racing fans that want to know what's going on, want to hear about the mechanics, want to know about these things. I remember the era where they used the infrared or the heat sensor, so you could see the heat coming off the cars, and just stuff like that, which I know that again a casual fan probably won't really care about, but I think those hardcore fans probably feel like they're missing something a little bit. Would you agree with me or not?
I think the difference is that we have to remember that they're still learning these new regulations as well. Even teams didn't figure it out completely. So how we can expect, broadcasters or commentators to know everything when the teams even don't know everything yet about the regulations, about the car, how they'll behave, and what to expect. And I'm assuming within the next couple of races, obviously, the commentators and the journalists will keep up, and they will notice that something needs to be done, or they will need more information about some specific aspects. I think it will come. It's sooner or later, but it will come, and we will see more engaging, let's say, broadcast from Sky or other broadcasters in the world.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There was Anthony Davidson made the point, I think it was during one of the practice sessions, that we don't need these graphics. The fans don't need to understand that stuff. And I was like, whoa, don't agree with that, Anthony. Let's not put everybody into that box, because yes, there's a lot of people who don't care about that, but there's a huge amount of people that do care about that. I think the motorsport fan base is abnormally geeky compared to most sporting things. We like technology, we like numbers. You've seen the outrage, I'm sure, on social media that the timing has gone down to 1 decimal place rather than 3. And I think in most sports, I wouldn't even notice that. And in F1, we're like, no, we want 3 digits. I want to know to the nearest thousandths rather than nearest tenth. So we like data. And that's fine. So I agree. It's like it needs to come. I understand why it was probably too much to develop it for this. Like Matt said, it's like everybody's learning, including the teams. But I do think we need that data eventually. I think I read somewhere that a lot of the teams don't even have this data kind of on each other, where normally they would kind of have this data. Formula E's got this for what it's worth. Formula E, you can see the state of charge on every car at any point. And I think I seen on Sky that they did have a recharge graphic at one point on an onboard. You could see a battery. So it was kind of introduced mid-race, which I think Martin Brundle kind of tipped us off that he was like, something's coming mid-race, because he said something about graphics are coming soon, maybe even mid-race. And I was like, that sounds optimistic. And then sure enough, they did. So like, I'd like to see more data and more stuff like that and more ways of presenting the data. And we've all seen Jolyon Palmer does great stuff with the kind of trackpad and stuff, as does Anthony Davidson, and as does Alex Brundle over on F1 TV. They're all very good at analysing things. I want to see them start analysing overtakes that are to do with energy levels. And I'm sure we'll get that eventually, because that's the kind of stuff that'll make fans understand it more. And then when we see Alex Brundle explain, oh, well, he made this overtake because of this, and then we see a similar overtake in the next race, we're going to understand why it happened.
Yeah.
And then it won't feel artificial, because you'll be like, oh, that's that thing Alex Brundle explained. He's just run out of electrical power at this point, but then he's retaken on the exit because of this and things like that. So there's a lot of learning to do, and I think we'll all get there, and I think we need to give it a chance and not be too dramatic about it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, all these things, they always take time. And nothing's going to be perfect straight away. The only thing I would say, or the only person I would say it was a perfect weekend was Toto Wolff. Obviously, Mercedes finishing 1-2.
I loved him.
He was great, wasn't he? Toto's like a rolling meme at this point, isn't he? Whether he's angry and throwing headsets around, or I love Toto. He's great character.
I do, and I even I don't know why, but it's taken me this long. But I don't know if you guys have watched the Drive to Survive yet.
Yeah.
It's not really my thing. I tried it. I got halfway through episode 1. It's not my thing. So
it's
the only
better
thing
this year. I have to admit, it's definitely better this year than like 3 or 4 previous series.
Okay. I might try it. The only bit that I've seen was the introduction to Flavio's house, which was exactly what I thought Flavio's house would look like.
Yeah.
Like, you're both surprised and not surprised when you see Flavio's.
Yeah.
When he's got like 20 images of himself.
That's amazing.
Like, one is you're looking at it going, this is crazy, but also, yeah, that's Flavio.
I want this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he's got that row of like 20 pairs of sunglasses that are all identical, and it's like, why do you have that? Or the gold thing that's not gold because he picks it up and it's flimsy.
Bear. The security bear.
The security bear that's gold, and I'm like, this is so Flavio, and I loved it because of that. And like, yeah, that's the only bit of Drive to Survive I've seen this year.
My favorite bit was, he's like, I'm not a dictator, but you do what I say, when I say, how I say it. I was like, I think you're describing a dictator.
That's perfectly Flavio. Yeah, like, well, during the Crash Gate, he was claiming that he didn't know anything as well. So, what we can expect from the guy who was banned from Formula One for 10 plus years?
Yeah, like I'm not a fan of Flavio, but I'm kind of glad that he's there, because he's almost like a caricature of himself. He's kind of ridiculous, and you're like, I don't even know what to say about Flavio. He's just ridiculous. Like, he is a parody of himself at this point.
Yeah, Flavio. I think they all talk about him, don't they, as being one of the biggest sort of characters in the pit lane, how cutthroat he is. So I mean, he's good to watch. I definitely wouldn't want to work for him, but yeah, definitely good to watch.
Absolutely not.
So just before we finish up today's episode, it's been amazing. I'm going to ask, obviously, Dave, we haven't, but Matt, me and you have had conversations about who we think's gonna win the drivers and who we think are going to win the constructors. I'll start with you, Dave. Based on that first race, who are you calling at the very end of the season to be lifting the constructors and the drivers?
I think it's hard to look past Mercedes, isn't it? Like, I think we're looking at George Russell and Mercedes to take it, which is the boring answer, I know, but I think they've got a lot more in reserve than what we've seen there, and that's kind of the rumour going around. And I think George needs to get it in now, because I think Antonelli's proved that he's coming for him. It was a difficult weekend for Kimi, but for him to finish 3-4 seconds off the back after such a difficult weekend is like, Kimi's coming for him. But I don't think he'll get it this year. I think George will have the legs this year. So I think it'll be George and Mercedes. I'm not saying that's who I definitely want to win, but I think if you look at it, it's hard to look past him, isn't it?
And if you were going to pick an underdog?
It's got to be Charles, I think. Charles, like, we're in a strange place with F1 right now, where there's a lot of, I was going to say rookies. There's rookies, but there's also drivers who are just into their second year. And you look at them and you go, like, that's a lot of future world champions there. And you look at them and you're like, oh, that means people like Charles and Oscar, they need to get it done soon, because drivers like Lindblad are coming for them, and Bortoletto and Hadjar and Antonelli. It's like, they are coming for world championships. And if they're not careful, people like Charles and Oscar are going to lose out on their chance. Lando got his, he got it in. He might not get another one depending on how things go, although they do have the best engine in the back of that car. So my underdog one would be Charles, because I'd like to think that the Ferrari is good enough now to achieve it. And he's got to be looking at the rest of that grid going, my future here is in trouble, because, let's be honest, Behrman is coming for Hamilton's seat eventually. That's probably what's going to happen there. Lindblad is probably coming for a Red Bull seat. Hadjar is already in a Red Bull seat. So there's a lot of future world champions there. Charles is going to have to get it done soon if he's going to get it done at all.
I think this is probably the most potential future world champions we've had on the grid at one given time, or at least for a very long time.
Yeah.
Matt, your thoughts on the drivers and the team championship?
Well, I jumped on the Ferrari bandwagon, so I will say LH44 and Ferrari. I really want this to happen. I really want this to happen.
I don't think it'll happen, but I would love it to happen, because then I can see Lewis doing a Rosberg and just retiring and being like, that's me done. I'm going to go and live in Switzerland with my Ferrari F40 and whatever other cars I've got, and I'll go and do that, and then Behrman will get promoted. I'd love that to be the storyline. I don't think it'll happen, but man, I want that to happen.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen, and it would be a good send off when let's get him his 8th, and then let him go and live his life. He's getting on now. And I wasn't going to mention, but just quickly, Alonso. I feel so bad for Alonso at the minute. Surely he's got to be packing it in at some time soon. Surely he's got to have enough of that car.
I don't think that situation over there is recoverable. Like that engine is not going to catch up to the Mercedes. They can't just buy another Mercedes engine and put it in, because they already supply too much of the grid. There's no way that they're going to supply another. So what do you end up doing? Do you buy a Ferrari engine and put it in the back? Well, maybe, but that's hard. What was the other one? You can't really buy an Audi one. Maybe you can next year. Maybe they'll be open to that next year. There's not really much going around, so you're stuck with that engine, and that's kind of that. And yeah, it could improve. It could become a respectable engine, but it's not going to win a world championship. Let's be completely honest, even in the back of an Adrian Newey car. So I don't know, cut your losses, I suppose, and just give up now and off you go. It sounds harsh. Mm-hmm. You know what I would advise Fernando? I know he's tried this already, but just go and give the Indy 500 another go and try and win the Triple Crown. Tried it before and got incredibly close until, ironically, a Honda engine failure whilst leading. So, go and give it another go. Go and find a Chevrolet team that wants you to run. The Indy 500 grid is not at maximum 33 cars, so you'll definitely qualify. Somebody will run you a car. Go and do that. Although it is a bit dangerous for somebody who's got a baby on the way. Let's be honest, Indy 500 is crazy dangerous, so maybe he won't. But I'd like to see another Triple Crown winner, so I'd like to see Fernando do that rather than potter around 2 laps down in an Aston Martin that's never going to achieve anything.
No, for sure. Well, guys, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Dave, so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I hope we'll have you on again. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come on anytime you guys want. Anytime you want to just chat about an F1 race or whatever, just give me a shout, man.
We'll give you a shout for sure. Guys, go and download the Racing Line app. Go and follow the social medias. Go and say hi to Dave. Say, I saw you on the, if you see a post comment, I saw you on the We Racing podcast. So he knows where you're coming from. And of course, go and follow all of our social medias as well. Download us on Spotify, watch us on YouTube, all the rest. But I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week, guys, in a bit.
Thank you.